Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies and show you how they were made. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at The Mummy, a classic Universal monster picture from 1932. We've already covered Dracula and Frankenstein, both of which were released by Universal in 1931, very successfully. The Mummy was next in line, coming out about a year after Frankenstein, and continuing the Universal Monsters franchise, which would go on to see a pantheon of icons and tons of crossover films between them. But missing amongst all those monster mashes was The Mummy, the only monster, besides the latecomer Gilman, who never hung out with the other guys. Maybe it's because his movie ain't that great. I love the classics, especially Frankenstein and my boy the Invisible Man, but The Mummy's gotta be the one that holds up the least. Like, Dracula feels its age too, but it's still engaging and exciting. The Mummy is a slog to get through. It looks old, it feels old, the characters are old, this thing is nearly crumbling apart. It's one dusty-ass movie, but it does have occasionally creepy moments and a cool character for the canon, the High Priest Imhotep, who walks around this movie disguised as a guy named Ardith Bey. He's played by Frankenstein himself, Boris Karloff, who gets to be commanding and electric, as opposed to Frank, who is more non-verbal and confused, and also electric, but in a different way. As cool as he is, Imhotep never showed up again in any sequels. Universal did make more mummy movies, but all 5 of them, including the Abbott and Costello crossover, focused on a mummy named Kharis, who provided the more stereotypical depiction of the bandaged, shambling mummy. That ain't Imhotep's game. Of course, the character would be featured in the 1999 remake played by Arnold Vosloo. Common mistake. While I won't be looking at the Kharis films right now, I will be covering the 99 movie next. Because even if it's not fully horror, it is still adjacent and also one of the best adventure movies ever made. Can't wait! How many kills is this classic keeping under wraps? Let's find out and uncover them. The movie begins by describing the legendary scroll of, thought? What? It's 1921, and British archaeologist Sir Joseph Whemple is leading a dig in Egypt and putting together the lamest fucking puzzle ever. He's joined by his dandy assistant Ralph and his colleague Dr. Muller, a wise and kinda touchy expert about Egypt. He respects their customs and beliefs, whereas Sir Joseph's a simp for science.
Our job is to increase the sum of human knowledge of the past, not to satisfy our own curiosity.
I love movies that discuss the philosophy of science. They realize something funny about the mummy they dug up, the Egyptian high priest Imhotep.
Never saw a mummy like that.
Never seen a mummy like this man before. That's cause dude's got guts. Literally, he wasn't prepared like a mummy should be. He was buried alive. Must have lost match to the Undertaker. They realized he was probably executed for sacrilege.
Maybe he got too gay with the Vestal Virgins in the temple.
Oh, and being like super gay. Imhotep only looks like a bandaged mummy for a few short minutes, so it's wild that they spent 8 hours applying the effect. It was done by Jack Pierce, the legendary makeup artist who had already worked with Boris Karloff doing Frankenstein's effects. He'd go on to do plenty of other iconic looks, but he always considered the mummy his favorite. He used Fuller's Earth, beauty clay, cotton, spirit gum, and 150 feet of linen bandages, which were burned and treated to look old. By the end of the process, Karloff's face was so hardened he couldn't speak.
He must have teared up through this whole process. Had to hold his breath as well, I'm sure.
They also didn't account for bathroom needs, so Karloff had to just hold it in for the entire shoot day. Removing it took 2 extremely painful hours. Karloff later called it the most trying ordeal he ever endured. Imhotep was buried alongside a golden casket with a warning on it. Anyone who opens it will receive death and eternal punishment in the name of Amun-Ra, the king of the gods!
Well, let's see what's inside.
Muller's like, no, you fucking idiots, can't you read? But Whemple and Ralph are like that arrogant guy in the Evil Dead remake. They just wanna be cursed. Whemple tells Ralph he'll distract Muller, and while the unks are outside, Ralph lifts that lid like you were raiding the Lost Ark. Damn, dude, not scared of like acid gas or nothing? Inside, he finds the Scroll of Thoth, which contains a spell that can raise the dead, as Isis did with her husband Osiris. The Scroll of Thoth is fictional, but was somewhat inspired by the Book of Thoth and the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
The Book of the Dead.
Hey, wait till next week, you two incredibly attractive people. You two wait! Ralph gets to work translating the symbols. Hope it's not a crummy ad for Ovaltine. He doesn't realize that behind him, Imhotep is waking up from his little dirt nap in one of my favorite moments. It's legit creepy, with Ralph's quiet recitation on the fuzzy soundtrack while Imhotep slowly comes to life. But then things get dated as hell with Ralph's Tex Avery scream and subsequent Mentee B that leaves him howling like a lunatic. Jesus, dude, dial it back a bit. Wemple comes back to find Ralph cackling. Oh, man, he's probably gonna have to hear him hiccup all day too. Also, their mummy's gone, and you know what they say, no mummy, mo problems. Ralph says the mummy got up and walked away, but Wemple the skeptic assumes it was stolen. He doesn't have to discipline Ralph for losing it though, because he laughs his ass into an off-screen early grave. Yep, that's a wrap on Ralph. Unlike Dracula and Frankenstein, the mummy wasn't based on a book. Instead, the idea came from Carl Laemmle Jr., who was basically the Kevin Feige of the Universal Monster movies. Laemmle was inspired by the 1922 discovery of King Tut's tomb by British archaeologists. The rumor of a curse sprung up when the dig's benefactor died from an insect bite at the tomb. By 1930, 14 deaths were supposedly tied to the dig, and public interest was at an all-time high. Laemmle figured the fad would make for a perfect monster movie starring Universal's top horror star, Karloff the Uncanny. We time jump 11 years to the movie's present of 1932. Sir Joseph's son Frank is leading another Egyptian dig because the British, they just can't fucking help themselves. His team hasn't found anything, and it's almost the end of the dig, so thankfully help arrives in the form of... Wait, I'm sorry. That is clearly two children underneath a robe. This Fez enthusiast introduces himself as Ardith Bey, an Egyptian historian. In actuality, it's Imhotep, the mummy from the beginning. He's taken the past decade to unwind and really reinvent himself, you know? His pseudonym's an anagram for Death by Ra, Ra being the ancient Egyptian god of the sun. Kind of an Alucard situation we've got going on here. For the Ardith Bey look, the makeup team created wrinkles using either cotton strips or dried spirit gum. It's unclear. Ardith has some unbelievable news for Wemple Jr. He's found the lost tomb of Princess Anxinamun, who totally wasn't his girlfriend or anything. Seriously, she's like, it was not at all. Come on, stop. Still, he'll lead them there so they can dig her up.
We Egyptians are not permitted to dig up our ancient dead. Only foreign museums.
Oh, he said that with spite. Not surprising, since the British Museum is a bit controversial when it comes to artifacts from other nations, like the Rosetta Stone, especially since a lot of it was acquired like this. Those slaves' backs gonna be howling in the morning. Thanks to all that forced labor, they uncover the princess's tomb. They send its contents, including the princess's mummified body, to a museum in Cairo. Oh wow, they actually kept the artifacts in Egypt?
I think it's a dirty trick, this Cairo Museum keeping everything we found.
That was the contract.
Oh, okay, there it is. You know they wanted to take that mummy back to London, no matter what Daddy Wemple says.
The British Museum works for the cause of science, not for loot.
See, the movie couldn't even say that without blinking. John Wemple has joined his son in Cairo to oversee things, even though he couldn't oversee a mummy without losing it. Speaking of which, Ardith Bey swings by to visit the artifacts. He's why they found them after all, so they let him into the museum after hours. He sets up next to the princess's sarcophagus to bring his lover back using the Scroll of Thoth, which will also give her an OnlyFans, maybe? Oh shit, dude, be careful with that open flame. Both the parchment and your dry-ass mummy skin about to light up like a Duraflame log. Until it does though, he'll keep saying his lover's name. That's bad news for the nearby socialite Helen Grosvenor. She's heavy with ennui over the modern British lifestyle in Cairo and nostalgic for the ancient Egypt of the pyramids. She's at a fancy gala with Dr. Muller when a strange feeling overcomes her thanks to Imhotep's mummy magic.
Imhotep.
Yes, that's your name. Very good, Imhotep. Helen's put into a trance that lasts all the way through the coat check and ordering herself an Uber? Damn, dude, what's the duration on that spell? It persists as the car takes her to the Cairo Museum. She feebly tries to get inside before feebly fainting on the stoop. Luckily, Frank Wemple's there to scoop-a-doop her up and take her back to his and his daddy's place. Oh wow, this is exactly why they have fainting couches. Helen's a real sleepy time chatterbox, repeating Imhotep's name and babbling in ancient Egyptian.
Not heard on this earth for 2,000 years.
Then how'd you recognize it, dude? Muller and Joseph convene in his office, leaving Frank to look after Helen. When she comes to, he fills her in on what happened and learns that she's half Egyptian. We already found that out earlier, because we ordered her exposition as an appetizer.
Her father's governor of the Sudan, English of course. Her mother Egyptian.
After Carl Laemmle decided to make a mummy movie, he needed somebody to write it. An initial treatment was done by Nina Wilcox Putnam and Richard Shayer. Called Cagliostro, it involved a magician who lived for centuries. Screenwriter John Balderston adapted it, and presto changeo, made the magician a mummy. He named him Imhotep, after the real-life 3rd Dynasty Egyptian, a chancellor and high priest who lived almost 5,000 years ago and was later deified. Balderston had written the American stage adaptation of Dracula, which became the basis for the film version in 1939. 1931. He took a lot of that story's elements for The Mummy, and I mean a lot. They both feature an undead antagonist yearning for a romantic partner they feel is meant for them. In Dracula, a cross keeps the vampire at bay. In The Mummy, an amulet of Isis does the trick. Both romantic interests have a young, modern suitor. John Harker and Frank Whemple, both of them played by David Manners. And Edward Van Sloan plays the same kind of elderly expert in both. Dr. Muller here and Van Helsing in Dracula. And bonus, his character in Frankenstein was the same kind of dude too. Frank starts hitting on Helen and bragging that he's the one who found the princess's tomb.
When we came to handle all her clothes and her jewels and her toilet things.
Damn, talking about her toilet things and how he stripped the bandages off of her? Helen's kind of disgusted, but he has a good defense.
Science, you know.
He also says he fell in love with the princess's dusty ass. Her? Egg Cinnamon? Then he says Helen reminds him of that 3,000-year-old corpse. Shouldn't this dude have a Union Jack instead of a giant red flag? Frank continues to shoot his shot in the weirdest way imaginable as Joseph and Muller are called to the museum. Earlier, a night guard had come across Imhotep. Now the night guard is dead, apparently of shock. But his body isn't the only thing Imhotep left behind. He accidentally dropped the scroll of Thoth too? Really, man? Probably should have held onto that thing a little tighter. Back at the house, Frank and Helen are turning up the heat. She's laying back and ready for pillow talk. I love old movies made before the Hays Code. They get away with a level of horniness that would not fly after 1934.
Don't you think I've had enough excitement for one evening without the additional thrill of a strange man making love to me?
The two are matching each other's freak on the couch when Joseph and Muller return home. Wow, no reaction shot of them being walked in on though? They're just all of a sudden standing there like nothing ever happened. The men leave Helen to rest, not knowing that Imhotep has just arrived at the house. He gains access by using his mummy mind control powers on the Whemple servant, a character only called the Nubian. And don't ask what that is, the guy from Mallrats will shoot your ass. Helen once again wakes up to a strange man staring at her, but it's okay, she's positively entranced. The two feel as though they've met before. They end up in a sexist staring contest until Muller and the Whemples interrupt. They try to snuff out the fledgling romance by getting Helen to leave.
Then Audith say au revoir. We must see each other again.
But she'll be back. She'll be back. Everyone drops the Ardith Bay shenanigans when Muller takes out a picture and is all like, "This you?" Imhotep demands Muller return the scroll of Thoth to him, saying if he doesn't, he'll be cursed, like Nathan Fielder. Muller says that ain't happening, and that he'd love to kick Imhotep's papery ass.
But your power is too strong.
But he can't, I guess. I love a villain whose powers are told to us rather than shown. We do get to see some of his powers soon enough, after Muller says they need to burn the scroll of Thoth. Whemple gives a curt and angled response.
It's true. It's true.
From afar, Imhotep watches Whemple through his little wishing well. Oh damn, that thing's got multiple camera angles too. Joseph tries to burn the scroll in his fireplace, but Imhotep puts a stop to it by giving the guy a heart attack. Guess it's Jover for that plan. To cover his tracks, his man on the inside swipes the scroll and leaves a burnt newspaper in its place. The Nubian was played by Noble Johnson, a black actor who was also in King Kong right after this. Johnson began acting in the silent era and kept working when sound came around, a transition that not every actor was able to make. He was also president and co-founder of the Lincoln Motion Picture Company, a studio that made movies for black audiences that portrayed black characters as real people instead of caricatures. Frank grieves over his father, but refuses to believe that Ardith Bay is a mummy. I mean, come on, that guy, a mummy? What about him says mummy to you? You must be out your ever-mumming mind. But one thing Frank does believe in is Helen's hotness, so he joins Muller for a visit to her hotel. On the ride over, while Frank cocks his hat and serves looks, Muller checks the charred bits from the fireplace. He realizes they've been tricked. Parchment doesn't burn at that temperature. It was just paper, so Imhotep must have the scroll again. Damn, that thing's getting passed around like a hot potato. A Thoth potato. Muller gives Frank an amulet to wear in the shape of Isis to protect him from evil. Imhotep's eyes get a glowing again, which was done by dimming the set's lights while focusing two baby spotlights into Karloff's eyes. Director Carl Freund had done the same trick with Dracula, where he was the cinematographer. The Mummy was Freund's first time directing, but he drove Dracula's production in a big way. He also shot freaking Metropolis and has been credited with inventing the dolly shot and being the first to use a handheld camera. Or rather, stomach held, since he would strap it to his belly. He'd go on to shoot I Love Lucy, where he invented the sitcom lighting style and perfected the 3-camera system. Wow. With his glowy eyes, Imhotep takes control over Helen, who's trying to take control over a good boy. Oh, he does not want to go that way. Oh, sorry, buddy. Mommy's busy being a mummy's booty thrall. He charms her even more with his decor.
Ancient Egypt. Nothing modern.
He says, wait a minute, you ain't seen nothing yet. A cool shot takes a dive into his swirly, smoky looking pool, transitioning us into a flashback to the 18th dynasty in ancient Egypt. Back then, he was a high priest of the Temple of the Sun at Karnak, and she was the Princess Ankhsenamu, daughter of the pharaoh Amenephis the Magnificent. Their forbidden love came to an end when she fell ill, and Imhotep was unable to save her from dying. Stricken with grief, he snuck into her tomb after her burial and attempted to bring her back from the dead using the Scroll of Thoth. The guards broke in before he could finish the resurrection, but hey, it's the Thoth that counts. The pharaoh sentenced Imhotep to death and ordered the scroll be buried with him so no one could ever try to raise the dead again. Fair enough. Oh, that flimsy prop looked real cheap. Imhotep was wrapped up in bandages and left in a tomb to die a slow, agonizing death. To keep everything a secret, the slaves who buried him were killed by soldiers, who were then killed by other soldiers. I count 16 people in these scenes, so assuming the pharaoh took no half measures, that's how many I'm adding to the count. Back in the present, Imhotep tells a zonked out Helen he's gonna kill Frank so they can be together. She wakes up in a daze sounding like Dorothy Gale.
I had strange dreams.
And you were there? And, no, I guess it was just you. Helen returns to her hotel, where she tries to tell Frank what happened, but she can only remember bits and pieces, like that her dog Wolfram died, and that she saw a statue of the cat goddess Bast.
The goddess of evil sendings.
Well, no, Bast is actually considered to be the goddess of the home, fertility, and the protection of women. And cats. The Mummy movies aren't exactly the best place to learn accurate Egyptian mythology. Frank tells Helen that he loves her. Who cares that they only just met? She's into it, I guess, because she begs him to save her and not to let her leave the house again. But that night, she's tormented by visions of her supernatural side piece. Leaves her feeling saucy and sexy. Just look at that bare shoulder. Ugh. Resisting Imhotep's influence also leaves her weak and ill. So Frank takes off his Isis charm and puts it on her door. Good job, dumbass. You basically rolled out the murder welcome mat. Imhotep tries to take advantage and give Frank a remote heart attack, but he grabs the charm just in time to avoid getting added to the count. Still gets knocked out cold though, allowing a tranced out Helen to walk over his prone body and straight out the door. Helen wakes up at the museum, but Imhotep tells her she ain't Helen no mo. She's Princess Ankhsenamu. And at first,
I was afraid.
She was mummified, thinking she would never live without him by her side. But now she's back, and majorly impressed by his grand romantic gesture.
No man has ever suffered for woman as you suffered for me.
John Balderson's script described Helen as a dark girl of Egyptian appearance, resembling the bust of Nefertiti in the Berlin Museum. Production didn't really follow that, and instead went with Zita Johann, a Hungarian-born actress from New York. Johann looked down on Hollywood compared to Broadway, and only did The Mummy to fulfill a contract with Universal. She didn't mind the paycheck it offered, though, and was actually pretty into the role. She had a real-life interest in the occult and believed in reincarnation. Johann seemed like a spitfire, headstrong and determined.
In 1932, that must have been a disaster.
In fact, she butted heads with director Freund, who forced his cast and crew to work well past the modern 12-hour limits that didn't exist back then.
At one point, he made her stand against a board for 2 days so she wouldn't get a crease in the skirt she was wearing for a particular scene.
He also apparently tried to get her to do a scene topless, so yeah, she wasn't a fan. She did love Boris Karloff, though, who I always forget was only 5'11", above average height, but not the towering figure we think of him as. Imhotep says Ankhsenamun's soul is currently stuck in a mortal body, kind of like her original body, which is in this coffin locked inside a case. Luckily, he has the keys. For whatever reason, he burns her old body, and damn, look at that thing go up. Originally, there was supposed to be a montage here showing how the two had been lovers throughout the ages. Ancient Rome, Viking times, Middle Ages, etc. They cut it to avoid slowing the movie down. Imhotep leads her to the embalming room with an altar of Anubis, the jackal-headed Egyptian god.
The guide of the dead.
I love him telling her who Anubis is like she wouldn't know. She was a princess, dude. He tells her his plan to make her immortal. He'll kill her, mummify her, and resurrect her so she can be his forever bride. She starts to get cold feet.
No, I'm alive. I'm young. I won't die.
Dr. Moeller wakes up Frank and explains Imhotep's plan, just in case the audience wasn't paying attention.
He's going to kill her and make her a living mummy like himself.
They arrive at the museum to see smoke coming from the chimney, but they haven't settled on a new pope just yet. Helen suddenly remembers her past life as a priestess, so she prays to Isis and begs for the goddess's help. The statue of Isis sets the scroll of Thoth on fire, breaking the spell of immortality that has been keeping Imhotep alive. It reduces the mummy to a dusty pile of bones. And yeah, I'm counting this as another kill. Why shouldn't I? The movie ends with Frank once again scooping Helen into his arms. Wow, what a crazy night at the museum. Which poor soul's got the worst of the mummy's curse? Let's find out and get to the numbers. We counted 22 deaths in The Mummy, with the victims consisting of 21 men and only a single woman, Anck-se-namun, which is how they pronounce it in this movie. That gives us this pie chart, fated to curse anyone who dare eat it. Especially since it's one of a kind. That's right, we've got a Killigami on our hands. With a runtime of 73 minutes, The Mummy had a kill on average every 3.32 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Imhotep, the man, the myth, the mummy. The effects may not blow away modern audiences, but they did the trick for the time. Dal Machete for lamest kill goes to the guard of the museum. A lot of the kills in this movie happen off screen, but he doesn't even get a crazy laughing fit before he goes. And that's it! The Mummy came out during the Christmas season of 1932 and did great at the box office, solidifying Universal as a home for horror. It inspired a beloved remake in 1999, a much less beloved reboot in 2017, and an upcoming film from Evil Dead Rise director Lee Cronin. Can't wait for that one. I'm only gonna look at the 99 one for now, so until next week, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Prepare to embark on the adventure of a lifetime. Beneath the sands of Egypt, a great evil has been awakened.
It's just a book. No harm ever came from reading a book.
Now it's up to a small band of heroes to stop the end of the world.
Give me frogs, flies, locusts.
As you wish.
What have we done?
The Mummy is a remake of the 1932 classic, and a better film in pretty much every way. It's filled with horrifying chills and action-packed thrills. You can watch an exciting biplane and experience a bi-panic, starring Rick O'Connell, the dashing explorer.
I only gamble with my life, never my money.
Evelyn Conahan, the brains and the beauty.
I am a librarian.
The High Priest Imhotep, resurrected as the Walking Dead. And some guy named Benny. He's a bit of a slimeball, but we love him anyway.
Goodbye, Benny.
This week, flock to the theater and witness the terror of The Mummy.
Oh, I've dreamt about this since I was a little girl.
You dream about dead guys?
Then this Friday, death is only the beginning for the Kill Count, only on Dead Meat.
Rescue the damsel in distress, kill the bad guy, and save the world.
The Mummy can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Demi always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count on The Mummy from 1932. I feel like these are wrapped just a tiny bit too tight, and I'm starting to lose a little bit of sensation. This took an hour to do, and then as I started filming, I realized, oh, we don't have the sponsor section written yet. So dream sequence it was. Thank you, Chelsea, for helping to wrap me. I just did a twirl. I don't know if we can show it though, because we didn't get all of the back there. I'll just do this as I thank patrons like Bisexual Cowboy, Calvin Goodwin, Andrew Leach, Leighton Fontenot, Darcy Morris, and Elijah Kent. Thanks everyone. Be good people. Be good mummies and papas. I'm sorry.